Welcome to my book talk. Today, we'll be talking about the book titled The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. It's honestly an amazing, easy read with a major life changing plot twist at the end and multiple life lessons along the way. Buckle up. At a certain point in our lives, we lose control of what's happening to us, and our lives become controlled by fate. That's the world's greatest lie. I chose this quote from the book because honestly it is true. Many people believe that everything that happens to them is because of fate, that somehow they have no control over what happens in their lives. They use quotes like, if it's meant to be, it'll be, and whatnot. But truth be told, it'll only happen if you make it happen. You can always rely on fate to figure things out for you. Sometimes you have to do it in order for it to happen. And I think that's what the king meant when he said this to Santiago. Questions for the audience. Do you believe in fate or do you believe we're in control of our own destinies? And if someone told you there was treasure destined for you to find, would you leave everything you have to go search for it? Introduction. So, as I said before, the story is titled The Alchemist. The author is Paulo Coelho. He's a 75-year-old Brazilian novelist who wrote The Alchemist in 1988. The genre of the story is fiction, meaning the characters and events are entirely from the author's imagination. They're not real life people or events, which is the main part of a literary or journalistic work. All slides following this will be a part or contributing to the body. Have the setting, the place. The Alchemist is set in not just a single place, but it follows the main character Santiago, who moves from place to place, therefore, the setting changes repeatedly. So it is set in the Spanish pastures where Santiago first was, the Spanish town of Tarifa, the city of Tangier in North Africa, and the Sahara Desert. The setting time in the story is not really highlighted. We don't exactly know what time it was set in, but it was definitely pre-modern because there's no mention of technology for like transportation or communication. Because to get through the desert, they traveled on camels and whatnot. People still do that today, but in the story, there's no mention of like other more advanced means of travel or communication. People send letters and whatnot. So in the past. Characters are Santiago, who's the protagonist. He's an adventurous person. He's daring, which is why he traveled so far to find his personal legend. Melchizedek, who is the king, he leads or he shows Santiago what he needs to do or where he needs to go to find his treasure, while advising him about his personal legend and what he must do to achieve it. Fatima is a beautiful young woman who lives in the oasis. She advises Santiago to chase after his dreams. The crystal merchant owns a dying crystal shop, meaning he doesn't get a lot of customers. He had a dream to travel the world, but he never did it because he allowed fear to get the better of him. The Englishman becomes Santiago's friend along his journey, and he helps him find the alchemist. The alchemist is an extremely powerful 200-year-old man who also lives in the oasis. He understands the soul of the world. And as you get deeper into the story, you'll understand what that means. The plot diagram. The exposition. The protagonist, who's Santiago, searches for his treasure after giving up everything he had. Rise in action. Santiago makes multiple sacrifices to pursue his personal legend, which he believes is his treasure. Climax. Santiago struggles to turn into the wind. That's a major event in the story that contributes to who Santiago becomes in the end. Fall in action. Santiago arrives at the pyramids where he believes his treasure is buried. Resolution. Santiago finds his treasure, but in the most unexpected place. Main conflict. The major conflict of the book is character versus self. I say this because throughout the story, Santiago has personal tension between leaving everything he had to search for his treasure halfway around the world and settling for the treasure he believed he already had. That was the conflict that Santiago had to choose between. So, some important themes that I thought were highlighted throughout the story because they were repetitive were the importance of personal legend. I think this is a recurring theme in The Alchemist because the story revolves entirely around people trying to achieve their dreams and destinies. The disadvantages of fear. Fear can sometimes prohibit us from doing things we really want to do, like the crystal merchant who I mentioned earlier, who never achieved his dreams because he was afraid of change. Fear influences the decisions we make more than we know. If Santiago allowed fear to control him, he would have never achieved his personal legend in the end. Life lessons. One life lesson I believe the characters in The Alchemist learned is to never give up on their personal legend, to trust the universe and follow the omens. And no matter how hard and challenging pursuing their dreams become, to never give up and never let fear influence decisions they make. That's a life lesson even outside of the book. Because sometimes we allow certain things to let us stray from the path that we started with in the first place. So we want it to be something, but we allow other things to change that. In conclusion, The Alchemist is an excellent story. It's a great story, especially if you're someone who believes in signs and omens from the universe, like Santiago became. The novel also teaches us that regardless of who you are or where you come from, you can achieve anything you put your mind to. For instance, Santiago, when he started out, he was a mere shepherd boy who owned a flock of sheep. But in the end, he became a man who not only had his treasure, but learned the soul and the language of the universe. He learned to follow omens and follow his heart. And he learned that determination in the end most likely leads to success. And that's something that we can also learn from Santiago and apply to real life. Finally, the works cited page. This is where I got my information from for the slides and information. Honestly, The Alchemist is a great story to read, and I believe you should give it a try. Thank you.